I'm Glenn McGuinness, and this is Outburst. On the program, we're celebrating Canada's 155th birthday.
I think we're a very caring society.
Their diversity in culture puts Canada on top of the world.
The whole idea of freedom of rights here in Canada.
This is something that we take for granted in other countries.
But first, being Canadian evokes thoughts of national pride, a way of life, and endless natural beauty. We're known to be polite and saying sorry even when we didn't do anything wrong. When you wear a Canadian flag practically anywhere in the world, you are welcomed with open arms. So we sent our cameras out to ask people what it means to them to be a citizen of this great country. Our question: what does it mean to be a Canadian?
Oh my goodness. It means being open to new ideas, new people, new cultures. I think that Canada is changing for the better. And I think that I'm more proud to be from this Canada than I am, than I would have been 50 years ago or 100 years ago.
Proud, best country in the world. We have some concerns, but compared to other countries, other places, I think very few in comparison.
To be a good person and to treat everybody fairly. That's what I believe being a Canadian is.
I love being Canadian. I love having our freedom, and I love our people and our country, and I just love how safe I feel in my country and just how privileged I am with just the life I was given to be Canadian.
What does it mean to be Canadian? You're pretty resilient to all types of weather would probably be my number one thing.
It means being open-minded. It's including everyone that is here. It means celebration, love, being inclusive of everyone, all genders, all culture to me.
Honestly, with everything that's going on in the world right now, freedom. I know we've heard freedom as a protest, but if you look around the world and you travel around the world and you see what freedom really means, we're living it. We're very fortunate. So yeah, I would say freedom.
Well, I love living here. As I say, being a transplanted Scottish immigrant some years ago, I've been able to have a full life, have a good career, and be able to retire in comfort.
I'm an eighth generation Canadian. It's freedom. It's heritage and a great, wonderful, democratic way of life.
It means you live in Canada and you value freedom, democracy. I don't know, we got it pretty good. Healthcare is awesome.
To be free, we are allowed to do anything we want to do. There's no restriction. And this is something that we take for granted in other countries.
It's really just to have the privileges. You live in this wonderful land with the wonderful people. You make the connections, you thrive, you push yourself, you use the tools you've been given by the country, all the opportunities, and you push yourself to the max.
It means a lot of things. Certainly with all the world events recently, the whole idea of freedom of rights here in Canada is very important, that we have that, we can enjoy that. A lot of people have sacrificed their lives over decades and decades and hundreds of years for that, and we reap the benefits of it.
Actually, I feel very special. We're exploring new life, new things, new country,
And the diversity.
And the diversity.
Like multicultural country.
Multicultural country. Yeah. There are a lot of scope here in every field, and you have to explore, you have to do so many things here.
We live in a beautiful country. I've traveled to the end of the Trans-Canada Highway to Fino. I've toured Prince Edward Island. I've been up to the Yukon, the Northwest Territories, and there's just so many spectacular sights to see. I'm a nature lover, so it's a great place to admire nature.
I feel I'm very fortunate to be Canadian. I often say anyone born here should be thankful.
Well, being here in Canada, it gives me a lot of opportunity. Yeah, because I'm an immigrant too. Well, I'm not a Canadian yet. Hopefully soon, I'm pursuing my citizenship. And yeah, lots of opportunities here.
I am heading to Spain to walk the Camino, And the number one thing that both my husband and I wanted to do was have Canadian flags on our backpacks because we're so proud.
Although Canada is a wealthy nation, we're not the biggest country in the world, population-wise. But throughout our history, we have made important contributions to 2 world wars, Korea, Afghanistan, and beyond. We sent our cameras out to ask Canadians what part they think this country plays on a global stage these days. Our question: what is Canada's role in the world?
We're supposed to be leaders. We're supposed to set the precedent on everything from rights, being able to live in a free country where everyone has a voice and not punished. That's why we came to this country. My family brought us here, and that's what we do. We set the precedents for that. So
I'm going to say what I've always said from when I've heard it since I was a child: peacemakers.
I wouldn't say a role in the world, but a role that I see this country in my life is a place that I want to call home eventually, because I'm an international student, so I can't speak for the world, but at least for me, I see it as a future home.
Well, typically we represent more of a peacekeeping nation, so I hope we can have that sort of influence in the conflict that's going on. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's also our country is kind of a place of solitude where some of those people can come and take a rest from what's going on over there.
Kind of like a beacon of hope lately. I think we all generally just think it's a place for peace and acceptance, and with all the noise, especially with media lately, I think we can all take solace in just the camaraderie of Canada.
We used to be peacemakers, but I'm not really sure what Canada's role in the world is right now. I hope it's to help people, but I'm not so sure about that now. Everything seems so politically motivated. It's hard to say. I hope we're being good people when we go and represent ourselves in different countries.
Well, I'm a little bit embarrassed because we have it seems like a political inability to get decisions and to get things done and to make good decisions. Look at the Afghani people. How many have come to Canada after we promised? The Ukrainian backlog. There's been only maybe 1,000 people arrived, and there's thousands more need to come. We have to somehow address the bureaucratic nightmare, whatever it is. I'm not sure who's at fault, but it should be addressed.
I was in the military for a long time, and I really support the fact that Canada is a good multicultural country and has an obligation to help where possible, when possible, but there are times in which we can't overextend ourselves. We just don't have all the resources, and we're not United States. We're proud to be very Canadian.
I mean, you look at the history of Canada's involvement in terms of since World War II. They've been all over the world as peacekeepers. They've been in Africa, they've been in Europe, they've been in, and they're currently, with the Ukraine issue and Russia, I see that happening more and more.
Well, for me, I think about the Titanic disaster and the people of Peggy's Cove and Halifax coming together and, bringing in all the casualties. Also, they came together for Peggy's Cove for the Swissair disaster and 9/11. So to me, it just kind of shows the spirit of Canada and especially the East Coast people in Halifax and Nova Scotia.
Being more lenient with these immigrants. They're giving more room for immigrants to enter Canada because really Canada needs workers from around the world.
I think we're good role models for the rest of the world, and I know we're far from perfect. We have a terrible track record, especially in terms of with regards to Indigenous peoples, but I think that we do a better job than most other countries, and I think, we're a good role model for others.
Yeah, and I guess with what's happened with the States lately, before the previous administration, the person who shall not be named, they've fallen down as world leaders. They're no longer even in that conversation. So I think we have an opportunity. We always were, especially under Pearson, but now we have an opportunity to really change that. So I think we can become world leaders in other ways, even though we're not a big power.
Well, it's very important, actually, in view of the events that are happening today. We have shown good leadership and cooperation with other countries, and it's probably the best place in the world to live.
I second all of that. I think having a multicultural example for the world, and we have things we can improve, but we can be a better example. But we do peacekeeping. We participate in NATO. We're part of the world in our minor way, and that's compared to what's happening in other places nearby. It's a really good thing.
As I mentioned earlier, Canada is celebrating its 155th anniversary as a nation. And for such a relatively young country, we've had our fair share of great moments since Confederation. So we sent our cameras out to ask Canadians what significant events stick out in their minds. Our question: what is the greatest moment in Canadian history?
The greatest moment in Canadian history, I'd say, was when Wayne Gretzky beat the record from Maurice Richard of 50 goals in 50 matches. And he did, I think, 82 goals in 64 matches or something.
Well, Canada, and I would say Montreal, would be 1993 when the Canadians last won their cup.
2010 Olympics, Sidney Crosby goal in the goal, no question.
You know, we've had a lot of proud moments. I think some of the recent things that have been taking place with finally recognizing all of the challenges and hardships related to the Indigenous communities, that's been a long time coming, and we're just starting to break through there. So I think that is the beginning of a crowning achievement to bring that forward and bring that into the spotlight and create greater opportunity for those people that have been left behind for the last couple centuries, quite frankly.
You know, there's probably a few on like, you know, the first apology from, like, I think it was Stephen Harper was the first Prime Minister to apologize on the Indigenous front. You know, not necessarily, I don't think he termed it reconciliation, but there was a big apology there for residential schools and stuff. You know, that's pretty big.
When we legalized marriages for whatever you want to be, it's okay. Because you know what? That opens a lot of doors just by making that one step into the future, because it is okay.
I suppose one of the things was probably Newfoundland joining Canada. I know it improved a lot from them because there were hard times, and I grew up in hard times, right? So there's a big improvement there.
I would say the current government, when they are doing this land agreement and giving back the land to Indigenous, this is something that is very great, and it should have been done a long time ago.
I feel like an easy one, like that was pretty sweet when I was younger, was like when Sidney Crosby scored the game-winning goal at the Olympics in Vancouver. That was pretty sweet. It was pretty, I think we like all watched it in school and everything too, so it was, yeah.
Raptors winning in the championship, nothing ever supersedes that, ever.
1867, when Canada became Canada, is the greatest moment in Canadian history.
In September of 1972, when Paul Henderson scored the winning goal against the Russians, I was at work watching it on TV with a bunch of work colleagues, and we all went wild.
Maybe the invention of the telephone, that's pretty cool, I think, and we all use them every day, and it has enabled us to stay in touch with everyone.
For me, I think the most pertinent that I can think of now is Terry Fox and the Marathon of Hope. I ran a marathon a couple weeks ago, and before that I didn't have any concept of just the magnitude of that kind of thing. And so now I saw this ad of Terry Fox, and it brought me to tears, honestly. And where before it didn't have that same impact, but I understand now every day he was doing that with half the amount of legs that I do, and to raise money, and then in the end that he perished. I think it's a great sacrifice and an inspiration for all of us.
Winning World War II with the Allies in Europe, I would say, was probably one of our greatest moments, coming back as true heroes and for a good cause.
I'd probably say the 2010 Winter Olympics.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That was so fun. Right to hockey.
Yes, that was the most fun I'd ever had.
Yeah, hands down.
How many prime ministers were born in Nova Scotia? 0, 1, or 3?
1.
0.
1.
0. 1.
0. 3. I'm thinking 3.
You know what? It's 3.
I mean, hell yeah. Nice.
Very good, ladies.
Yep. I just was feeling 3.
In total, 3 Canadian prime ministers were born in Nova Scotia. The first, Sir John Sparrow David Thompson, was born in Halifax in 1845 and was Canada's 4th prime minister. Thompson died unexpectedly while in office during a visit to England in 1894. The second, Sir Charles Tupper. Born in Amherst, Nova Scotia in 1821, he was Canada's 6th prime minister and was responsible for Nova Scotia joining Canada, making him one of the fathers of Confederation. The third, Sir Robert Borden. Born in Grand Pré, Nova Scotia in 1854, he was Canada's 8th prime minister and guided the country through World War I. He's also featured on the Canadian $100 bill. It's easy to feel proud when you tell someone you're a Canadian. We're a nation whose multiculturalism, peaceful nature, and breathtaking scenery is admired around the world. So we went out and asked Canadians what it is that makes this country so special. Our question: what sets Canada apart from other nations?
Canada is massive. I mean, second largest, but still, not too many other countries are quite so wide, so many different time zones, so many different things to see in terms of like geography, in terms of people and different culture and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think it's really cool that our country is so big.
And we have opportunities. We have a wonderful medical system. We have a wonderful educational system. People can come here from all over the world, and they do. They fight to get in here in order to have a future for themselves and their children. So I think Canada's an amazing country, and I wouldn't live anywhere else.
I think the main thing about Canada is that it's so culturally diverse. When I think about Canada, I don't necessarily think about one set of cultures and traditions. I think of a whole community of people celebrating these differences.
Freedom. My dad came from another country, and he came here for the freedoms because he left a war a long time ago, and it was the freedoms here, We're free in Canada.
I believe we're a diverse nation with a lot of freedom and a lot of choice, and I believe that we're so friendly and outgoing. I believe that Canada stands out just for our friendliness quota, if you will, and and just the ability to be free to choose what you want to do with your life is amazing, and a lot of other countries don't have that, so we can thank our predecessors who fought for our freedoms.
Like the fact that it's English and French, that's definitely unique to it and pretty cool because it's kind of multicultural.
I think we're a very caring society. We really value social programs and making sure that social services are available to everybody, and that's really important. And also I think we value multiculturalism and diversity, and our policies certainly try to support those things. We're not perfect, but as countries go, I think we're doing pretty well in those regards.
What I can tell is that people are way more open-minded than in Europe, for example. And I think it's also different from United States.
Probably similar to some other countries, very friendly, outgoing, helpful to one another. And we have a good healthcare system.
Our friendliness, stereotype, our weather, and our people. That's really everything.
I mean, Canada does not involve in any other wars or any situation like US or UK or any other Russia like that. It's a very cool and calm country.
I do a fair amount of travel, and I get asked this question a fair bit about Canadians. Well, certainly our friendly demeanor, and 100 times fold in Newfoundland, of course. But our friendly demeanor, for sure. And I think just our patience. We just tend to be a really good, amicable, patient group of folks.
I think it's a willingness to open your arms to other cultures in a lot of respect. I know that there is still people that aren't okay with accepting some cultures, but I think when you do accept cultures, it allows you to grow more as a person. Once you see what those cultures are like and learn about them, that type of thing, I think that just helps you grow on the inside. So I think it's a great thing. I welcome anybody who wants to come to Newfoundland. Come on in. The more the merrier is what I always say.
Geographically, Canada is a massive country, the second largest on Earth. And with that comes a diversity of endless beauty as far as the eye can see. So we set out to ask people why they think the place they live or the place they come from is so distinctive. Our question: what makes your part of Canada unique?
Many things. It is the scenery, it's the warmth of the people, particularly the Westerners. Not discounting the East, but hey, we pride ourselves on friendliness, openness, and that can only be achieved if you're happy in yourself and so on. And by golly, how many times have I said to my friends and neighbors, we complain about the weather and this, that, and the other. We still live in the best place on earth. And my goodness, I am so grateful to be living here.
So I grew up in Victoria and went to school out east on the other coast. And coming back to Victoria, the greenery is the most unique part, I would say, because nowhere else in Canada that I've been has been so green. Like, I come back in the spring from being out east and it's still dead out there and they haven't had rain. You come here and it's like, holy cow. I grew up here and I'm still shocked by how green it is. So I would say that is the most unique part of Victoria.
All the little communities across the island that are just so unique and have their own little special things about them. You can travel all over the island. You can stay on PEI for the whole summer and have a vacation. You don't need to leave PEI at all. It's wonderful. Wonderful restaurants. Oh my goodness, we must have the best restaurants in Canada, I think.
I was born and bred in England, but I've been all over Canada, lived and worked all over Canada. Yeah, and this is a pretty special place. Yeah.
I think our friendliness, the people, definitely the people that live here, and the scenery.
If you're from Winnipeg or you're from Manitoba, I feel like we endure. Like, we go through quite a bit, and we don't make a big deal about it, and we don't talk about it, but we have that communal thing, whether you just got off a plane here 2 weeks ago, or if you've been here for 2 generations, or you've been here for millennia, you really have endured quite a bit just to be here. So I would say that's my answer. Yeah.
Well, north is they call it God's country, and it is. It's beautiful. The lakes, the trees, the rock, just the space.
I think the open space we have, greenery, combination of prairie, lakes, forests.
The farming.
I think it's wonderful. Yeah.
The food products that we can grow here for the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Here in Manitoba, it's really spectacular because you've got so many different aspects. You've got a desert, you've got the Shield, you've got a coast up at Churchill, which I've been to, and it's absolutely amazing. And I've tried to see most of Manitoba and lots of Canada, and I'd say Manitoba has just about everything that you're looking for.
Calgary, it's beautiful. It's got a big blue sky. It's one of the sunniest cities in the world. And it's a big city, but it's got a small town feel. Like, every community is it's just its own little tight-knit community. You run into people that you know and have gone to school with everywhere. So yeah, it's a great place.
Oh, the Rockies, the river right there. In Calgary itself, our beautiful pathways that we're standing on right now, trails all over the mountains. Yeah, I think that's unique to this part of Canada.
Well, I'm actually from Newfoundland. So we're unique in that we're an island on the far east side of Canada. And we were isolated for a very long time, so our culture is very specific. There are many different dialects that you'll hear in Newfoundland. The culture is like an amalgamation of Irish, mostly Irish, but like Scottish, English, that sort of vibe. There's a lot of history there. It's old, it's unique, it's cool. The landscape is wild.
I think where I'm from, definitely the mountain scene. It's like no other, and I think that it's something that everybody should experience as well. I also think something that sets us apart is our poutine is amazing. Yeah, one of my favorite things.
Thanks for watching this Canada Day edition of Outburst on CPAC. If you have any comments about this show or any other show, you can find us on social media. You can also find us on our website at www.cpac.ca. I'm Glenn McGuinness, and on behalf of my colleagues at the Cable Public Affairs Channel, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.